Hello and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host, Lee Zimmerman, and I'm here with my producer, co-host, and good buddy, Billy Hubbard. And today, folks, this is a special broadcast because we are very excited to have the legendary Linda Gail Lewis with us here. Hi, Linda Gail.
Well, hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine today. How are you?
Well, we're doing just fine. And where are we speaking to you from? Where you make your home in Austin, do you?
I'm in Wimberley, Texas.
Wimberley, which is also, I think, Willie Nelson, maybe Lyle Lovett. A lot of folks live in that area, don't they?
Well, yeah, kind of in the area, but in the actual town, we've got some people living here, and I can't remember who they are at the moment. I just got back from Oklahoma City yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay. So you've been on the road
Paul
then.
Simon. My husband just said Paul Simon lives here.
Paul Simon lives in Wimberley now?
Yeah, he does.
I spoke to his wife. I interviewed his wife maybe a year ago, and they had just moved to Hawaii, Kauai in Hawaii. But I suspect they have enough money they can live in several different places, I guess. That's pretty cool.
Well, it was so funny. It was so funny. They went to the little cafe here that I go to. My husband and I go there a lot. And of course, they weren't supposed to make a big deal about him because Wimberley kind of has a reputation of that. It's real laid back and people won't bother you here. And so he was in the Wimberley cafe and they said hello to him, and they said, "Oh, and don't worry, no one here will bother you." And just as soon as they said that, just about everybody in that cafe went over there and asked for his autograph.
Wow.
So I don't think he's been back to the cafe, so I haven't seen him yet.
Well, maybe you need to have like a welcome to town party or something, and we'll get some of your famous friends and welcome him in some way.
Exactly. Well, he's really welcome here. He's got a lot of fans here.
Edie Brickell, that's his wife, Edie Brickell.
Okay.
Yeah, terrific. So,
that lady that played in The Shining, she lives here, the actress, and I can't think of her name, but she was in the movie Popeye, and she was in The Shining. Okay,
all right.
She lives here, so.
I don't know if I'd want to go near her. She scared me in those movies. I'm terrified. So you've been on tour now. Is that it? You've been traveling some? Have you?
We just went up. Yeah, we just went on up to Oklahoma City because we wanted to go up there and see our old friend Wanda Jackson.
Oh yeah,
I've known her a long time, and she and my brother were really close friends, and also my son-in-law produced one of his albums, and he's been her band leader on a lot of tours and stuff. So we thought it would be fun, and it's only about 6.5 hours from here. So
only.
Oh, that's cool.
That sounds like a long way to me.
Good friend of mine wrote a song for Wanda.
Yes.
Only a Memory, I think is the title. Greg Gehring.
Yeah.
He's a friend of ours. Yeah, we've had him. Yeah, we've had him on.
Oh, well, listen, she's just so great. It was so good to see her. And I was so happy with the way the evening went because she's doing really well now. And it was really good to see her. And so we had a great time. We had a blast.
So are you doing much touring now? I know you have the new album that just came out. And have you been on the road promoting that at all? Do you go on the road?
We are on the road, and we've been having a lot of albums to promote. We've got our Family Jewels album that we promoted. We went on tour in August, and we were gone 3 weeks, and I think we did 20 shows, 20 gigs.
Wow, that's pretty good.
During that 3 weeks.
That's a show a night.
Almost every night.
Holy cow.
Wow, man.
Wow.
Actually, I must be wrong. My math is terrible, but it must have been more than 3 weeks because we definitely had 3 nights off during that time.
Well, still, just 3 nights off in a matter of 3, even if it's 4 weeks, that's
I'm tired thinking about it.
I guess it was 3 weeks and a couple of days or something because it was pretty hectic. But I love touring and I enjoy promoting our albums. I'm so proud to be on Cleopatra Records. They've done so many wonderful albums, and I'm a big fan of that record company. And I love Brian Ferreira. He's a wonderful and really great record guy. And so I'm so happy to be involved with him and his label, and it's just absolutely great. And so we were happy to go on the road and do some gigs and promote it. I love touring. I'm a gypsy. I like to travel. I love to travel, and I love playing music. So it's ideal for me.
You know, I ask people, I interview a lot of artists, and I always ask them the question. I say, you know, you're still touring. You seem to love it. And I've been told they aren't getting paid for the time they're on stage. They're getting paid for the time, you know, they're traveling on the airplane and the whatever, So.
Well, I guess that can be true, but I'm really fortunate that I enjoy traveling.
Do you? Okay. You've probably seen everywhere there is to see, I would imagine, right?
I've been a lot of places, and you know, I've had a really good career in Sweden and Norway, and it's so beautiful there. And of course, I've been to Denmark and the UK. I spent a lot of time in the UK. I did an album there with Van Morrison. So
yes,
I was there for a few years.
Yes. Well, I know that you have been referred to, and you are referred to as the Queen of Rock and Roll. All right. So I would imagine when you go to these wonderful places all around the world, you are treated like royalty, right? Treated like royalty.
Most of the time I've been treated really well, and I love my audience overseas. And I found out, though, after the pandemic hit, I found out that I have a really, really nice audience in Texas, because for a while I couldn't go anywhere.
Oh, because of the isolation, the pandemic?
Well, you couldn't fly. You couldn't get to Europe.
You couldn't get to Europe from Texas? During the pandemic.
During the pandemic, you couldn't fly. And I'm very fortunate to be living in Texas.
Yes.
Because in Texas, we could still have gigs here. And a lot of places in America and in Europe, there was no gigs for anybody. But we had gigs here. We played music here, and it kept us going, and it was absolutely wonderful. And now, you know, people know who I am, and I go and play, and I see some of my regulars, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm glad now that I have an audience here, because this is where I live.
Well, it's your hometown. I mean, my gosh, you ought to.
When they shut down all the airports, when they shut them all down, and you can't fly anywhere, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can do a lot of playing in Texas.
Well, it's a big state. It's other than Alaska. Listen, I used to live in Texas. I was raised in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And so I know the bragging rights. Big D, mile, yes. Big D, little A, double O. Anyway, that was the thing. But Texas was, the largest state in the continental U.S., and that gives a lot of bragging rights. Yeah.
And they love roots music here. I didn't know when I moved to Austin 7 years ago, I didn't know how they were going to react to me, because it's like a blues town and stuff. And I never thought that, and people doing the Texas two-step to the country music and that and swing, Western swing and all that. And I thought, how are they going to like rock and roll? Well, but they do, actually, and I was delighted by that. I was so delighted. I've done South by Southwest twice now.
Oh, really? Okay. I've never been there. It's a crazy scene, isn't it? A lot of stuff going on.
It's really crazy. I hope I don't have to do it again anytime soon.
It's called promotion.
I know. It's tough getting around to all those places.
Yeah. So you are a very prolific individual, Linda Gail Lewis.
Well, thank you.
And you've kept pace with the times. I know that last album was with Robbie Fulks, who's a terrific singer-songwriter, and so you're really keeping pace and going strong. How else to put it? You're going strong these days, and it's just great that you're so prolific. Such a prolific
I'm
artist.
Blessed. It's a blessing to be 75 years old and have a gig. It's wonderful to have a career and be able to go out and play music and make a little money and and you need that to live,
Well, let me tell you, the 70s are the new 40s. That's what I'm told. That's what I'm told.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's go with that. I like that.
Yeah. 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 70, the 70s seemed, no, this is serious. Billy's laughing at me. The 70s seem to be a medium age these days for a lot of terrific artists. You look at the Rolling Stones, any number of people who are still just kicking it in their 70s. And I love it. I mean,
it's great, man. No, because we're not getting the generation coming behind them. Maybe, I don't know if it's because of our age, but that can compare, really.
No, I think, it's funny because when I was a kid growing up and my parents would listen to Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra and whatever, and I'd think, those are like the over the hill and they're old people and they were probably in their 40s at the time. But nevertheless, I find that young people are really embracing this wonderful music. I love it that they show that respect,
Well, it's wonderful because, when I play the White Horse in Austin, when I play there's a lot of young college kids coming to that gig.
Right.
And it does my heart good when I'm doing Great Balls of Fire at the end of the night, and I'm doing Great Balls of Fire and they're singing it with me. And they're on the dance floor just going crazy.
I bet.
And singing crazy. Great Balls of Fire. And I'm like, this is wonderful. Gosh. These people weren't even born,
Right.
When that
exactly.
was a hit.
and so when you're performing these great songs that are part of the fabric of rock and roll and modern music. And I'm curious, Linda Gail, if you've done these songs a number of times, but do you get excited every time you launch into one of those songs? Do you get the same enthusiasm? Well,
I do. I do because, I like to play in a groove with the band, and that's just, to me, it's the greatest music in the world. And I love country music too. I love that, and I love blues, and I love gospel music. But when when we're doing the rock and roll stuff, it's really it lifts your spirits, and I think that's the reason that rock and roll is still so popular, because it makes people happy. It's happy music.
Now, you mentioned a number of genres that you like besides rock and roll, the gospel, the blues, and so forth. What do you think? I mean, this term Americana, I'm giving myself a plug because my first book was about Americana. but don't you think that all of those genres kind of fit under the umbrella? And Americana is kind of a newer brand, what have you, but you've been Americana you were there, the roots of Americana, you helped create this thing. So, how do you think about it?
Well, my brother and his friends, created it, but
sure.
I was a lot younger, but I was quite a bit. I am 12 years younger than my brother was when he passed away.
Yes.
And I was there when it happened.
Sure.
So I kind of have a feel for that music that probably somebody just starting to play it maybe wouldn't have the same kind of feel for it. And because it's really special music, and it changed the way people were listening to music. It was like when Elvis and Chuck Berry and my brother and Little Richard and all the guys, they were, the kids back then, which was me. I was like 10 years old, but I was still listening to the music at 10 years old. And,
wow.
And people went from really liking to listen to big band stuff to just wanting to hear rock and roll. And so it changed everything. And then it laid the groundwork for all the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and all the other people that came along and had did rock and roll music. And of course, the 50s rock and roll music is really special to me.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I like to play. And I always tell them when I go there to do a gig, I hope you enjoy this. I'm old and my music's old. So
Stop. Let's say this, Linda Gail. You're contemporary and your music is contemporary. I like the word contemporary, okay?
Well, I did some contemporary stuff with Robbie Fulks because
I know you did.
He wrote songs for us to do, and he's absolutely wonderful.
How did you meet him? I'm curious. How did you meet Robbie?
I had a gig in Sweden. He had a gig in Sweden, and we were both staying in this band house, which my daughter called it the metal box because it was like an aluminum metal building with places for people to stay. And Robbie was there, and of course I was already a fan of his, and he was a fan of mine, and we'd always wanted to meet. Always wanted to meet, and that's where we met. And then I went to his gig, and he was so nice to me. And I'll tell you, I enjoyed his gig so much. Robbie is not only a great songwriter and a great singer and a great guitar player, but Robbie is a great showman. He puts on a show, even when it's just him and his guitar. If it's just Robbie and his guitar, he will just floor you with what he does because he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
We should get him on that Outlaw cruise.
He's been on it. He has been on it.
All right.
And I believe he was invited on this one.
Right.
But I think he had some other gigs and couldn't do it because of that. I was hoping he would do this one because the one he did, I couldn't do because I was doing the thing in Clear Lake, the dance party thing. So I missed being on one of those with him. And that was a shame. But maybe someday we'll do another one and Robbie will be on it. But yeah, we have a really good act together when we do our act together.
Wow.
It's really quite funny.
Wow.
Well, Linda, I was going to say, my friend, Donna Sue, I mentioned to you, I think, an email about, and Meryl.
She's a nice lady.
Oh yeah. Well, she was telling, anyway, that's really why I was looking at some video. I guess somebody there, she maybe sent. But anyway, you got in your energy level, and this is a thing that I thought was funny because he was talking about our age. No, he's talking about your age. We're not talking about ours, sorry, Lee, our age.
Huh?
But
we don't. No. Let's not talk about age.
Okay,
Linda Gail gave it away, opened the door, but anyway, I don't know that we have to follow.
But she was. What I saw, you were like sliding your heel across a keyboard or something. I thought, wow, man.
Well, I do that. I enjoy doing that because it always shocks everybody. For some reason, they're shocked that I do that.
We're going to try that when we're over this, Lee. We're going to see if we can
that's amazing.
Put our leg up that high.
That's amazing.
Well, the music makes me feel young. I forget how old I am.
Well, what I was getting at before is when you were, I would imagine you were present when your brother and his friends like Elvis and these other folks were there making this. I mean, did you not witness that? I mean, all these folks as it was happening.
And I heard you have a story about Elvis or something as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really nice to meet Elvis. I had the pleasure of getting to meet him. So it's always wonderful to be able to tell people that story because being a Jerry Lee Lewis fan, when I went to meet him, I wasn't as excited about it as I should have been.
All right.
And I really wasn't that excited at all because I'm Linda Gail Lewis and I'm a Jerry Lee Lewis fan.
There you go.
But I tell you, I did learn how to appreciate Elvis after that because I was quite shocked when we went there to meet him because he was absolutely so charismatic, so nice. He was a Southern gentleman. And he was the most gorgeous human being that I've ever seen in my life.
It's all about the sideburns. Come on. Yeah.
Oh, he was just, he had beautiful features. He was just beautiful. When I met him, back when I met him, that was before he had started getting older and everything. But I was shocked.
Were you at Graceland? Is this where you met him?
No, I met him at the Memphian Theater.
Oh, all right.
This woman took me there to meet him.
Okay.
And I went there with her. And like I said, I was just a silly teenage girl and didn't think that much about it. And when I walked in that little small theater, it's a little small theater, and I looked across the lobby and I saw Elvis standing there with a little bit of light on his face. I was like, wow. Well, then he walked over to us, and of course the closer he got to us, the better he looked.
So did your brother had your brother called and said, "Hey Elvis, I want you to meet my little sister here"? I mean,
Lord, no, he
cachet.
wouldn't go. Jerry Lee Lewis wouldn't go to that much trouble. He was probably in the Whirlaway Club or Fernando's Hideaway.
Well, I don't know. I mean, but still. So did you meet Elvis before the show or after the show?
Well, what it was is he had rented that little theater to watch a movie.
Oh, okay.
That's what he had to do. You know, if he wanted to see a movie, he had to rent that little theater and go there with his friends because he couldn't just go out in the public because people would just.
Wow, that was a real superstar moment when he's renting the movie. Do you remember what movie it was?
Oh, I have no idea because we didn't stay for the movie. We just went in there to meet Elvis.
All right. Well, I thought maybe
we left after that.
I would have stuck around, got some popcorn. I would have stuck around. I don't know.
Yeah, we couldn't actually do that. But I'll tell you what I did do. I went to his party that he had, his New Year's Eve party.
Oh,
and
God.
That was really nice. So I got to see him again at that party.
And
then after that, I went on the road with my brother, and I never had time to go and hang out and be around Elvis after that. That was the end. And it didn't matter anyway.
Well, what year was that? What year was that, the New Year's?
I have no idea. I can tell you that I was about 13.
You know, all right. I think we're going to have to write a biopic about you.
I lived it, and I didn't keep up with a lot of stuff. I was too busy living it, and you know what they say, Lee.
What is that?
If you remember too much about the 60s, you weren't there.
Yes, they have said that to me.
Actually, you know, that's funny. I was just sitting here for the last probably a few minutes, and I was trying to remember, and I thought, dang, my mom was right. I shouldn't have smoked that weed and got short-term memory loss or something. But anyway, I used to work for HBO in the early 80s or so. And
anyway, they have HBO in the 80s?
Yeah, is that cable came out, I think, in the
I think maybe your memory.
Well, this is when HBO. So anyway, I went to these, producing these events. But anyway, there was one where it was Mickey Gilley, and I want to say Jerry Lee, but I can't swear to it. But anyway, all I'm saying is that got me thinking about and of course your family there is just crazy and talented. As far as your connection into your, we say a bloodline or whatever.
Was your family?
It's an unusual family.
Were your parents, your family members, all into music? I mean, is that how it got started?
Well, my family loved music.
All right.
But of course, Jerry absolutely loved to sing and play all the time. And from the time he was about 8 years old and got his first piano, he was just at the piano all the time.
Wow.
Or out playing a gig somewhere at Natchez under the Hill, because we lived in Louisiana then.
Yes.
But yeah, he absolutely was at the piano all the time playing and singing, and he loved it. And of course, Mickey Gilley, my cousin, was a great artist, legendary artist, and did so many things, and he had a wonderful career, and he passed away this year too. It was crazy that we lost Mickey and Jerry in the same year.
This year's been horrible. It's just January. It's been really sad.
It was really hard last year, and Jimmy Swaggart, of course, is still going strong, and he's a little bit older than Jerry and Mickey were. And Mickey was actually about a year younger, I think, than Jerry and Jimmy. But Jimmy was a little bit older than Jerry, maybe 6, 7 months, 8 months, something like that. But he's in his 80s, and he's still going strong, and he's still preaching. He's got his grandson and his son both preaching, so he's still got it going.
Family you have.
Well, it's unusual, I think, for three famous family members. And they're all related, and they're all born close to the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
the same little
dynasty,
town,
isn't it? It's a bit of a dynasty.
This little dump of a town. They'll hate me for saying that.
Faraday, was that Faraday, Louisiana?
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, how could you have three famous people, and they're related, and they're from the same little town, and they're all cousins? And Jimmy is, of course, he's our cousin 2 times. So he's my first cousin, and he's my second cousin.
I don't know how that works.
Well,
you'll have to do the math for me. I don't know how that works.
Well, I'm horrible at math, but I know my mama's sister married my daddy's nephew.
Wow. Wait a minute. Can you repeat that, please? I want to.
My mama's sister
Your
married my
mother's
daddy's
sister?
nephew.
Your father. All right, I'm trying to.
You have to make it right on a piece.
So
Yeah, I have to do-
Jimmy's grandmother, my Aunt Ada, was my aunt, my daddy's sister.
I'm so sorry. You really lost me on the aunt and then the grandfather. I don't know. You lost me on that.
But Jimmy's really close kin to us.
Yes.
Because it's both sides of the family.
Yeah.
We're related to him on the Lewis family.
Does that mean you have to buy him double Christmas presents or double presents for his brother? How does that work?
I once knew someone that had a bronco. Like
a bronco?
Yeah, it's like a brother.
It's a bronco.
That's what they call it, a bronco.
A brother
Seriously?
who's an uncle?
Yeah.
Never.
I didn't even know what happened
now
there.
you got me on that one. I never heard of that.
I don't. What's a bronco?
I don't even want to think about it.
It's an uncle because the father's brother is the uncle.
It was so complicated. You needed. It took a math genius.
We're going to have to do a little bit of home study on that.
I did want to ask, but I
don't know.
Oh, and Lady Gail, I noticed that. I didn't even realize this. I saw your husband. He worked for Stax Records, or studios. And anyway,
well, Eddie is actually a hero because he is the promotion guy that got that wonderful music played on the top 40 stations. Prior to that, it was played on the blues stations and the R&B stations, and they didn't sell. They sold around 100,000 copies, and then all the songs, all the records that Eddie promoted were a gold. So it was a big difference there. And he's the first one to do that. And then there's other people coming along behind him doing it, but none of them ever did it as well as he did. Wow. Of course, that's my husband. I might be a little biased.
Well, that's all right. Is he listening in right now?
I hope so.
All right. So do you know, or does he know, an engineer who used to work at Stax Records named Jim Gaines? Jim Gaines.
Jim Gaines?
All right, here's another plug. But my new book is about Jim Gaines, who was a engineer and producer and started out at Stax Records. The book opens in 1968 when Memphis is burning after Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Right.
And Jim worked at Stax Records and a lot of the family-related recording studios that those folks own. So, ask your husband if he knows a Jim Gaines.
I'm sure he probably met him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Eddie was working on the stuff after they got it cut and manufactured.
Okay, yeah, he was on
the road.
All right.
He was on the road doing 3 cities a day.
I used to do record promotion for Capitol Records. I know what it's like.
So you know what that's like. And he was having breakfast with a DJ.
Yep,
and
then lunch,
and then lunch in
all
another
on
city.
All on the company dime.
Somewhere else. Yeah, it was really pretty hectic, I think.
Oh, it was great. I remember as a promotion guy, we filled out the expense reports, and I lived in Miami, and, I'd have to go to Fort Lauderdale, and we got, so much per mile. So I'd kind of, chalk it up a bit. Say, yeah, Miami to Fort Lauderdale. All right, we'll just put down 450 miles on the expense report. Yeah, but hey, what the heck? I'm sure Eddie didn't do that.
I love it.
I'm sure Eddie didn't do any of that.
Lee, I've never told Lee this. So Lee, I'm friends with a guy that owns Stax Records. You know that?
Are you really?
Do you know Barry Shankman?
Barry?
No, we know Al Bell.
Anyway. Al Bell just got honored in September, I think, at the Americana Music Awards.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes, I was there. Yeah, he was honored.
He was the CEO at Stax. Yep. And, of course, Jim Stewart and Saxton owned it. And then I think somehow or the other it ended up that Mr. Bell owned it. I call him Mr. Bell because I just have so much respect for him. And I'm a big fan of that song he wrote, I'll Take You There.
Oh, my. They did that song on stage with Brandy Carlisle and all these people. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Well, he gave it to Eddie. It was an acetate. And Eddie went on the road with it before they even got it manufactured.
Wow,
that's cool.
Wow.
Well, the guy I was telling about, he was later. He's not. I just was looking, and he's 1975. I guess that's when he owned it.
Oh yeah.
So that was.
All right. You think about it. That's almost 50 years ago, though.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's amazing how long ago all that happened, didn't it?
It was indeed. So. Let's get back to you here, Linda Gail, because you an amazing history, all these incredible albums that you've done. I mean, it's so consistent. I'm curious, though, in particular, the album You and Again with Van Morrison. How did that come about? That's an amazing album, by the way, as you know. I mean, come on, no secret.
Well, thank you. Well, we had a lot of fun doing it. And, Van had at that time writer's block and wasn't able to write any songs. He wrote one or two, and that was it. And so he did a project with those skiffle guys.
Yes, skiffle, yeah.
And then he saw me when I was doing a gig in Wales and Newport, Wales, and he decided that maybe he wanted to do an album with me.
Wow.
So I didn't really know a lot about what was going on at the time, but I thought, it was nice to be there singing with him and stuff. And he paid me a really nice fee he said, let's just get together and have a jam session.
Yes.
And there at the King's Hotel.
Wow.
In Wales. And we did that. And then at the end of that jam session, he said, let's just go in the studio next week if you're free, and we'll record some of this.
Wow.
But I still didn't think it would ever be a total album, because honestly, Van did a lot of recording with Carl Perkins and many people that he never released. It's just on a shelf.
Oh, really?
And I thought, I just thought, well, it's just going to be on a shelf. But like I said, he paid a really nice fee. We went in the recording studio, cutting stuff live on the floor. And we did all those songs. And then, of course, I had to come back because we didn't do enough songs.
Oh, you didn't do enough?
More songs. We didn't do enough. I was back in Tennessee. I'd gone home. I was in Big Sandy, Tennessee, and they called me and they said, you have to come back because Van definitely wants to release this album, but he doesn't have enough songs.
How many did you cut? Yeah. I mean, you didn't cut enough.
I think we ended up with 13 on that album. But no, it was more than that we cut. Probably about 15 that we actually cut.
Initially?
When I went back.
Oh, when you went back. Okay.
Yeah. When I was there the first time, it wasn't enough songs. It was about 7 or 8 songs or something. That was all. Right. It was mostly Jerry Lee Lewis songs like Let's Talk About Us, You Win Again, Crazy Arms. And I don't remember. Oh, Jambalaya we did, stuff like that. So that was the first recording session. Then I went back and we did a Johnny Kidd and the Pirates song, and we did a whole bunch of songs. We did One Night with You.
Oh, yeah.
But Van changed it and wanted to do the original lyrics of One Night of Sin. And, of course, that didn't make it onto the album. But then I think we did I can't even remember all the songs we did, but we did at least 8 more songs that are just on a shelf somewhere.
Well, we need to get them out, I mean, put together an anthology or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen because when these projects are over, they're just pretty much over. As much fun as I had with Robbie, and Robbie Fox, he hasn't said anything about wanting to do another album, but we're so proud of the one that we did.
Give us an address. We need to write some letters, folks. We have a pretty good listening audience. Give us that address. We'll demand it. Yeah. I'm looking at the cover of Wild, Wild, Wild.
Listen, that is the craziest thing.
I just love that cover, though, where both of y'all are yelling out of opposite ends of the album cover. They're like, wow!
Robbie is so funny. He said, we got to go to this photographer. We're going to do this album cover. I said, okay. So I flew up to Chicago and from Austin to Chicago, and there we are. We're out. It's cold as hell on that day. It was so much snow and it was so cold. We went out to this photographer's place. And he asked me, he said, can you stick your head inside a tank and open your eyes? And I said, I can't stick my head in any kind of water at all. I have to hold my nose if I go underwater.
Oh, my God.
I definitely cannot do that.
Oh, no.
And then he said, okay, well, can you just scream? I said, well, yeah, I can scream.
Of course.
And so Robbie went in first and did his screaming, and they made the photographs.
Yeah,
and
then
that nice man, he's a great photographer and very creative, has wonderful ideas. So he came out and he said to me, well, you probably won't be able to do exactly what Robbie did, but just come on in
you
and
held
do
your
and do
own.
what you can. And but he left out the part that would say, "Well, just do the best you can, bless your heart." But
Yeah, when they say
so
bless your heart, that's not always
I
so
went
good.
in there and I screamed a few times, and they made the photographs.
Oh,
And then he
man.
said, "Oh, Robbie, you have to come back because Linda Gale has outscreamed you. We need you to come back in
Wow.
and scream again." So y'all screaming. He
Congratulations.
had us screaming at the same time then.
Really?
Standing
At the
there
same time?
screaming, and they're making the photographs.
I mean, I think what they should have done is put you in front of a movie screen where you were watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie or something,
Well, that'd
like
have been
the
cool.
shower scene or something in
That
Psycho.
worries me. That worries me to this day.
Well, it might have provoked, but you did a good job here. The both of you look like you're outdoing yourself.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty outrageous, I'll tell you.
Well, I love it.
And we've got this one actually queued up.
Can we
had
play
a little trouble?
song?
Yeah, we had a little technical problem with Amazon wouldn't open for some reason. So
Amazon.
Yeah. So anyway, let's play a little Wild Wild Wild. How about the Wild Wild Wild?
Yes, the title track, because
that'd be good.
A title like Wild 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 pretty much says it all. All right.
I love that song.
Here we go. All right. Wow, that is wild. Those piano runs that you do, oh my God. That's an awesome song. The whole album is awesome. I mean,
well, thank you so much.
Are you going to be playing that on the Outlaw Cruise? Can we?
I usually do that song. I usually do Wild Wild Wild, and quite often I do the other song that Robbie wrote, Hard Luck Louisiana.
All right,
because it's about when we lived on Black River and we was poor folks back then.
Yes,
and Robbie he's such a great songwriter. And I contributed just a small part of the song because, I don't think Robbie's ever lived in a sharecropper shack. So there was just a few
Hasn't
things.
everybody lived in a sharecropper shack at one time or another? Come on.
So there was a few things that he wanted me to add, and I did. And it turned out really well. And, of course, the melody that he wrote for it is so beautiful.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
And then he wrote me a song called Round Too Long. And he was afraid it might offend me. Robbie is so polite and he worries
Depends
about
how
everything.
You take it. Come on.
The first line in the song says, "I'm the sister of a hellraiser and the daughter of an old tomcat." And he said he thought that might make me angry at him, but I just thought it was funny because I know, and my brother thought it was a great song. He liked it. And then my daddy, if he had ever heard it, he would have probably laughed, when they called him an old tomcat. So yeah, we all have always usually had a good sense of humor about things like that.
I'm curious. There have been many movie and I guess television portrayals of your brother, and Great Balls of Fire, the biopic, and he's the character of your brother has been in a number of films. And I'm curious, what's your opinion? Do you think they capture his personality pretty well on the cinema and on the screen?
Well, they didn't, and how could they? Because he was so many different things. He wasn't just a straightforward buffoon like they had Dennis Quaid act like in the movie, and that was a shame too because Dennis is a big Jerry Lee Lewis fan.
Yeah,
but I mean, Jerry was never really funny like that, and he was always a great showman, and
Right.
but some of the scenes in the movie, they got it right on that. And my brother did the music, and Dennis did a really great job of portraying how he was on stage. He did a
Yes.
great job of that.
Yes.
And he's a great actor. I'm a big fan of his. So, but sometimes they had him act too silly, and Jerry Lee Lewis was never silly. He might have been a lot of things, but not
never silly. No.
And but that's the director's fault.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Sure. And, well, I think it would be interesting, though, to watch a portrayal, brother, any family member, anybody that you know so well, seeing them portrayed. Which reminds me, have you seen the Elvis movie? The new Elvis movie?
The new one?
Yeah.
I have to say that my husband and I watched that.
Oh,
and
okay.
We don't normally like that kind of thing.
All right.
But we absolutely love it.
Okay. All right. That's a great endorsement. That's a great endorsement, right?
Well, they did a great job. Those people that did that movie, they know what they're doing.
I mean,
and
you met Elvis.
I did, and I've always said I have never seen another man that looked, like it was as beautiful as Elvis. But I have to kind of rethink that when I'm looking at that guy they got for this new movie. He is absolutely gorgeous in that movie.
Linda Gail, you haven't met my partner, Billy Hubbard. I mean, we're, with all due, he's a great specimen.
I'm married, sorry. I don't want to
even though we're of a certain age.
My husband was invited to many parties there and went, and he says that Elvis was absolutely beautiful too, and my husband is obviously not gay. And of course, there's nothing wrong with being gay, but he's just not gay. But he still could appreciate how beautiful Elvis was.
Well, he did have that like Ken doll look.
There's a Ken doll look.
Well, my kids, my girls when they were little, play with Ken and Barbies, and I'm just saying Elvis. The picture I saw her picture recently, and it looked like it just looked like it was his skin perfect and all that. You know what I mean?
So this is a sort of an untold tale. Do you know something, Billy?
Not Ken.
Ken doll was influenced by Elvis.
I only know what Ken was.
I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know. We're starting a rumor here. But
Elvis had perfect features.
Well, like you say, the guy that plays Elvis, I was watching Late Night the other night, one of the late night shows, and this guy was a guest, and the women were going crazy, and I had to say, he's a pretty good looking guy. He's a pretty good looking guy. That guy.
They did really well when they found him.
Yeah, they did. Now I don't know about the Tom Hanks. Did you know the Colonel, Colonel Tom?
I didn't.
No,
but I thought that was pretty good the way they portrayed
all right.
it.
I didn't know.
From what I've heard all my life from various people that knew the Colonel.
Okay,
it seemed like that was in character.
Okay,
to me.
I didn't know. Tom Hanks is an actor, and sometimes he kind of puts it on. He's like over. I don't know. I don't want to get in bad terms with Tom Hanks.
I did want to ask you. Take a different turn here. I was just going to say. I mean, I'm still fascinated with. I mean, my mom had a band before I was born in the 40s and 50s called the Tennessee Partners that toured all around. And so here in East Tennessee, we knew Dolly before my mom knew her before she was big time. But anyway, in my family, I had three sisters and they were musical, but how did you guys all end up so good on the piano?
Did you take lessons or
did everybody hang out or something?
To be honest, my brother taught me how to play, and my cousin Mickey always said that he learned everything from my brother, and I did as well. And I was very blessed and very fortunate to have him show me a lot of things, and of course I've just worked really hard to develop that. I didn't start playing rock and roll until I was 40.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You
so
were
it's a new thing for me, kind of.
A late star. What did you have a day job somewhere that you were doing before that?
I've never had a job in my life but one time.
Good for you. Congratulations.
And I worked there one day. but
I love it. This is the stuff of legends.
Yeah. I've always been a singer, but what happened was when I couldn't be on the road with my brother anymore, because the woman, I almost said lady, and she's definitely not a lady.
Oh,
But that
okay.
woman was absolutely so mean to me, and I just
Oh.
could not be on the road with my brother anymore. And see,
Oh.
when I was on the road with my brother, there was no reason for me to play a piano. But when I got out on my own, then when I
Yes.
had to,
Yes.
then I had to remember the things that my brother had taught me, and I had to develop that because I couldn't find anybody that would play that style like I wanted in my band. So the
Oh,
piano player that I had in my band for a very short time, I had to let him go, and I had to do it myself, and it was not easy. It took some time for me to get to where I sounded, better and better as time went on. It was a little bit
Right.
rough in the beginning,
Well,
but I worked really hard, and I got it going.
I have one question that I've saw a lot of these, I love the documentaries. And like I say, even when I was years ago in the 80s, when I was, it shows when we were filming HBO specials. Well, I never understood, like you, I think you kind of answered it, but who, because of all, Mickey Gilley, Jimmy Swaggart, and yourself, and Jerry Lee, who you influenced? I mean, did one influence the other?
the leader of the pack.
Mickey always said he learned from my brother.
Okay.
He said that.
All right.
And of course, I say that because it's true.
All right.
And I couldn't answer for Jimmy Swaggart because he's a gospel music person,
Right.
Oh,
and he does only gospel music. But he said that he did one rock and roll show with Jerry sometime when they were just kids, like really young teenagers. They went and did a show somewhere, like a talent contest or something like that. But I'm sure that if Jimmy was asked that question, he might say that he did learn some things from my brother, because I mean, my brother was a musical genius,
Sure.
and there was never anybody, in my opinion, that could ever play the piano like he did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Mickey and I both said that we both have always, Mickey always gave Jerry all the credit in the world and said that he couldn't have had a career without Jerry's help, and he learned everything from him.
I'm curious, Linda Gail. You have a famous bloodline there. So you say, your brother taught you all this wonderful music and how to play. I would think, being from that bloodline, when you get up on stage, people kind of expect you're going to give them one rousing show. I mean,
a lot to live up to is what that's called.
I think that's what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's normal. Any relative from a famous bloodline, people are going to have expectations.
That's the way it is, and I can't do like a lot of people would be able to do in my situation. In my situation, I can't get up on stage and be a little bit laid back and have an off night or whatever.
No.
When I get up there, I have to work really hard. I have to work my ass off.
Wow.
Because everybody expects something, and let's face it, a lot of them are coming because they know I'm Jerry Lee Lewis's sister. So I've already got the deck stacked against me.
Yeah.
Because he was absolutely the greatest in the world.
Right.
So I have to do something to entertain them and make them happy. And I've been very blessed and very fortunate that I'm able to do it with most people. I haven't been able to please everybody.
You never can in life. Nobody can.
And you never can in life. But I have really had some really nice gigs, and I've always gone over well because, like I said, I work really hard, and I've been blessed with some talent. And I had my brother teach me and show me things that other people didn't have that opportunity. So I've really been blessed with having a brother who was the greatest in the world to show me a lot of things. And he encouraged me.
Right.
He always encouraged me. The first time I went to Europe, and I was doing a gig at Hernando's Hideaway and going over to play my first gig in Europe as a piano player and singer in my in the early times of my solo career.
Yes.
And so I look up, and here's Jerry coming in Hernando's Hideaway.
Wow.
And we didn't get to see each other much back then because that woman that he was married to that I couldn't be on the road with, she made it really hard.
This sounds like Peyton Place or something.
She made it really hard for us to be together.
Yeah.
So I was so happy to see him. And he said, I heard that you're going to Europe next week, and I just wanted to come by and see what's going on. and see how it's going to be for you.
Wow.
He was concerned about me.
Yeah.
So I had to get up there and do my gig, play the piano and sing. And then afterwards, he came back and told me, he said, okay, you're going to be fine. They're going to love you over there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have to say that, I know your brother obviously was such an influence and such a great big brother, let's face it. But I dare say, Linda Gail, if you were just in a fantasy world where, the two of you weren't related and you were doing this music, you were inspired by, to do it, you have a career that makes and allows you to stand on your own. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely true.
I can now, but I don't really think at the age of 40 and being a little overweight in Memphis, Tennessee, I don't think I could have started a solo career and had any success with it, honestly, if I'd been Linda Gail Smith.
All right, but at the same time, though, you've built up over the last how many years, and you've made this a wonderful career. You're a great entertainer, and I just think it
went really well. It went really well for me. I can't complain.
Really well.
My solo career in Memphis was wonderful, and of course, I met a lot of Europeans because when they were coming to Memphis, the tourists and people that had the promoters of gigs and stuff in Europe, they would come and hear me, and then I got into the habit of playing a lot in the UK,
right,
and then Sweden and Norway, and I got in the habit of doing that instead of doing a lot more gigs in America.
Right.
So that's what happened. But the reason for that was because the money was so much better.
They treat them really well in Europe, I hear. They treat them really well.
I love to travel.
There you
and
go.
I love going all those places. So I did that. And I lost my band in Memphis. And they told me, they said, if you keep going off like you're going off and staying, we have to play in other bands. We can't play with you because you're gone all the time.
Well, I guess it wasn't really affordable to take the bands, right? I mean, they'd have a band for you in Europe.
Oh gosh, no! I wasn't ever on the level where I could just have a band and say I'm going to pay these guys while I'm gone.
Yeah.
I haven't reached that level yet either.
Right. Well, I think you have actually. I mean,
well, thank you.
In terms of your spirit and your legend, I would imagine, and you've been so generous with your time here, but you're pursuing this wonderful career, so successful. But I would imagine you also feel like you're carrying on a legacy, not only your brother's legacy, but the very legacy of essential American music that you came of age with and that you have been so passionate about. Do you feel that way, that you're carrying on this tradition, this legacy, or it's a cause?
Well, I do.
Yeah,
I do, darling. I do feel that way, and I just do my very best to always do a good job of representing the wonderful artists before me that did this music. And of course, I recently went up to Memphis to Sun Records and recorded a tribute album to my brother.
Yeah,
I actually did 2 albums. I did an album of my music and then an album for my brother. I wrote some of the songs on one of the albums, but I think the tribute album might come out first. But I really enjoyed doing that, but I was a little bit intimidated, because I was in Sun Records, and I'm like, and there was this little voice in my head that said, "Who do you think you are? You're in here in Sun Records, and you got Danny B. Harvey and Slim Jim, the Stray Cats."
Oh, wow, really? Wow.
Oh, yeah, I was a little bit intimidated by Slim Jim. I didn't know him that well. I got to know him in those 2 days.
Yeah.
We really got to know each other really well.
Excellent.
We took him out to lunch every day, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And he's so, he's really special on drums. And then I had this bass player from Italy who is out of this world. His name is Lucas. And Lucas Chifiro or something like that. I can't say his last name right. It's Italian. But I had these wonderful players, and there was this little voice in my head saying, "Well, who do you think you are?" But as soon as we started playing the very first Jerry Lee Lewis song, and it was Rocking My Life Away, I saw Slim Jim smiling, and I saw my son-in-law and the bass player. Everybody was smiling. I said, these guys are great players, and if they're smiling, maybe everything's going to be all right.
Wow. I think one of the stray cats is going to be on that outlaw cruise. I think
It's Slim Jim.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. I just wasn't sure if it. Okay, great. Well, so you got somebody to hang out with, right? Right.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him. It was wonderful. I just appreciated so much that he flew all the way from California to Memphis to do those recordings with me.
Wow. Well,
I really
buy him one of those
much.
little cocktails with the umbrella in it on the cruise. That's a nice way to say thank you.
Well, I think most people are getting those drink packages.
Yeah, some of us are. I just want to give the date for the Outlaw Country Cruise is February 21st through February 27th. And I would Google that. I guess it's sold out, but we can get on a waiting list. Billy Hubbard would be on that waiting list. Yeah.
I procrastinated. And
I didn't, and I'll be on it. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get so excited, but I am.
I'm excited about that cruise as well.
I don't blame you. It's going to be a lot of
fun. Yeah. My friend Jason D. Williams is going to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
And also my friend Pete that plays with Mojo.
Oh, okay.
And the three of us are going to. I maybe wasn't even supposed to tell that. It's probably supposed to be a surprise. They'll probably kill me.
No.
But
we'll rewind the tape. I don't know. Rewind the tape here and do that. But
it's going to be wild. I'll tell you that.
I want you to save a moment so I can buy you one of those little cocktail drinks with the umbrella. I want to meet you in person. I would. Be
because I don't get those drink packages because my daughter told me, she said, you might drink 3 glasses of wine that whole week.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be a good idea for you to have a drink package.
Well, Linda Gail, I don't know that I'm getting the drink package, but I will just splurge to buy you that and whatever other drinks you want. I'll be your drink package for you, Linda Gail.
Hey, you can be like Barney Fife and get milkshakes and get
I'll just run. Yes, I'll run back and forth.
Well, okay. I guess we better let you go. Yeah.
So wonderful talking to you. What a nice lady.
I could talk to y'all all day.
Well, we'll continue on the ship and we'll record that and have a part 2. I'm serious.
You've inspired us, Lee. Okay, we're going to do some yoga and we're going to see if we can get our leg up and put it on a keyboard and all that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, yeah. I'm a great candidate for that.
Oh, we need some geritol infusion or whatever.
Let's leave it to Linda Gail. All right. Really serious. Please do me a favor.
Well, anyway, and folks can find you. Let's see. I don't know if we said, that your website, lglmusic.com is what I saw.
That's it.
That sounds about
because, before I could get LindaGailLewis.com, somebody else got it.
Really?
So, I didn't know what was going on. I know. People usually a lot of people find me at lglmusic.com.
Good. lglmusic.com.
And I'm on Facebook all the time. I love Facebook.
Oh, do you? Well, you're not mischievous and saying mischievous things, are you? Like
the young people and the college kids and stuff started that.
Yeah.
And then all of us old people got on there and we loved it. And they all went away to Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if that's the thing now. They're too.
And Twitter.
I don't know if Twitter's the thing. I don't know.
It's old Facebook now, they say.
It's so Facebook, right?
I love it.
So MySpace. It's so MySpace. Yeah.
Well, I've got Linda Gail Lewis Facebook. That's mine.
Okay.
And I enjoy hearing from people on there.
You're going to hear from everybody.
Some people. I answer everybody. I do.
We're going to find you and harass you. No, just kidding.
Yeah, come on. It'll be fun. I like a challenge.
There you go.
Well, we're going to do our little outro here, but don't go anywhere. We just want to tell you bye after this. So,
okay, darling.
So here
Thank
we go.
You so much.
So, okay. Well, anyway, big thanks to Linda Gail Lewis and our host, Lee Zimmerman. Be sure and check out Lee's book, Americana Music, Voices, Visionaries, Pioneers of an Honest Sound, now available on Amazon. I think he's got another new book coming out.
Yeah.
But
30
also...
Years Behind the Glass. Yeah.
What's his name?
30 Years Behind the Glass.
Oh, okay.
About that fellow Jim Gaines.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you all next time, and happy trails.
Happy trails.